This is the first assessment video for MGT552 Leadership and Social Impact. So the assessment in MGT552 have been crafted so that they're nested within each other. And I'll go through that and explain what that means. So first of all, you are going to do a proposal of a case study, and I'll talk about that in length on the next slide. And there are 3 dates when you have to have parts of that due. It's worth 15%. So you're going to do a case study for the whole session of an area of social impact, a company, an area, a community group, etc. But we'll talk about that in detail on the next slide. And there's also some case examples under case study examples under topic 1.3, and many of my students take one of these case studies and study that in detail. There are lots of cases in Australia as well. Action learning group presentation is the second assessment, so you'll be working in action learning groups throughout the session, well, up until the middle of September. So for most of the session, for about 10 weeks, particularly intensively between weeks 3 and 10. And we'll talk about action learning groups in each of our online meetings, and I will be having specific meetings with each of your action learning groups. There are 3 action learning groups. So you'll do a presentation, a group presentation. That'll be part A of assessment 2, and then there'll be a reflective piece. Always we like to focus on reflection because it's an important part of leadership. And these 2 will go together. They're due on the 12th of September, and the presentations will be on the 15th of September. This is worth 50% of the subject, so this is a really important part of the subject. And there will be a specific video for this assessment piece as well. And then in the last assessment will be where you report on your case study. So you'll learn more about your case study as you interact with your group. Okay, you'll continue to research your case study, and that will inform your group presentation, and it will inform your last report. And there'll be a separate video for that as well. So, Leadership and Social Impact Study Proposal. It's due on the 2nd of August. It's worth 15%. You'll do your initial post to your group discussion forum. So you have a discussion forum for each of your groups. Okay? And you will post by the 25th of July. So you've got a couple of weeks to do this. You'll do a response to one other student by the 30th of July, and that will be using a curious question, not giving them advice or therapy or anything like that, asking a question which will elicit reflection and further movement and learning for that student. And then you will put in your final proposal. That will be your proposal for your case study, and that's due on the 2nd of August. So you'll be assigned to a peer action learning group, as I said before. The discussion board's already open. These are the things that you'll have to do here, which I've just talked about, and everything will be submitted by the 2nd of August. So you've got 5 tasks really. It says 4 tasks in the subject outline, but there's 5. So from your preliminary reading, you will choose and discuss an area of social impact, leadership or social purpose that you wish to investigate further in your organisation or in your community. Please identify a learning goal for this study. You will use this as the focus of your learning about social impact leadership in this subject with your peer learning group and for your final assessment. So provide a short reflection on how this study will have a benefit to your workplace, organisation or community, as well as to your own leadership practice. Post your response to 1 and 2 to your group discussion forum by Sunday the 25th of July. So you've got you've got about 10 days to get this proposal together, to get cracking on this proposal, and to actually and then reflect on that, the benefits, etc. And you'll respond to one other peer, as I said before, by the 30th of July. In the subject outline it says the 31st. It's the 30th of July. As a result of the questions from your peers, refine your learning goal and area of study if appropriate. You might want to refine it, but you'll have that weekend to be able to do that, and post to the discussion forum by Monday the 2nd of August. Curate your posts and submit as a report through EAST. And a reference list is required. So your case study area of social impact may be in climate action emergency, including renewable energies, advocacy, wildlife conservation, bushfire recovery, might be homelessness, social housing, community development, education, food security, health and wellbeing, e.g. COVID, people with disabilities, or any appropriate societal issue. Examples are also given under resources, okay, and underneath the assessment area. Please look underneath, look at the subject outline for all of the requirements for posting and for submitting your assessment. So your final assessment will be submitted through EAST on the 2nd of August. And you might want to look at this as well, this thing about the founder and Jackaroo Youth Program, Bernie Shakespeare. Sorry about that break. Now the assessment marking rubric. Really important that you look at the rubric because it's a very, very good guide for what you're going to receive. So the first thing is identify and discuss the area of social impact leadership. You propose a relevant learning goal for leadership practice in your workplace. So your learning goal should preferably be a SMART learning goal. So it's specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented and time-bound. So this will be your learning goal for about leadership practice for the session, okay? And so look down all of those criteria to see what you want to aim for. If you just want to get a pass, an area of leadership for social impact or purpose is described with little analysis, but you have described something. You've drawn from the subject readings to develop a description, and you've developed a learning goal, and you've also included a reference list and some references. And then you step right up to a high distinction, where you clearly and comprehensively identify and you critically analyse. So critical analysis means when you compare and contrast different arguments in the literature to support your arguments, and that's really important that you do that. So you need to be able to look at different literature, look at what's happening in your particular case study, see whether there's anything that comes into question, to actually take a critical perspective when you're writing. And you'll also have a comprehensive learning goal which you've clearly articulated. You've drawn from the literature and media beyond the subject readings, okay, to support those justifications and that critical analysis. So an HD is a pretty hard thing to achieve because we're looking for accuracy in grammar and referencing, and we're looking for that critical analysis. If you're looking down at the distinction area, similar to that, but probably not as critical analysis, not as many citations, but you're still drawn beyond the subject readings. To get a distinction or a high distinction, you really have to read more widely than the subject readings. So make sure you look at that criteria, and then with your reflective statement. Again, looking at a critical and creative reflective statement that demonstrates clear and coherent conceptualization and synthesis of learning related to social impact leadership, and insightful and specific reflection on the focus for development of your leadership practice will give you a high distinction. So look all the way down at what you need to write and how you need to reflect to actually achieve a higher grade. And then the participation is really important in the peer group discussion, and I will be looking at this. So how well have you asked those open questions? And you'll be curating this and putting this into your final report, but I will look at each discussion board too, and if there's anything, just to moderate and to provide any insights as well. So if you've got any questions about the subject or this assessment, consider posting to assessment questions to the subject notice board. So that's that home page, and you can ask questions there, and it's good to do that because everybody else sees those questions, and when I respond to them it's the benefit of everyone. But you can email me and then I'll repurpose those questions to the home page, and also if you do that before we have our online meetings, we can put those up in the online meetings as well. So remember that the online meetings are a place for you to come along and ask questions about assessment. I don't know everything. And also with this first assessment as well, I'm expecting you to be thinking about an area of social impact, to be looking at case studies. Some of you will be working in organisations that are already creating social impact, and so you can look at your own organisation, or you might be volunteering in an organisation that creates social impact. If you're stumped for ideas and you've looked at this video and you've come along to the first online meeting, which is on the 14th of July, then please send me an email or set up a time for us to have a conversation around what your ideas are, because I'd like you to be able to have something nailed by the end of this week so that you can start sharing with your peers, or you can start kind of looking into and investigating what that case study is, and more importantly, maybe even looking backwards, what is the leadership practice that you want to get out of this subject? What's the leadership learning that you think you need? A lot of you have already done a lot of leadership subjects. So what is it that you need to learn more about leadership, and how can this subject which is leadership for social impact, inform that learning? So creating a learning goal that fits with that, and then you may find the organisation or the case study area that you want to look at. So thank you for listening, and as I said, if you're having any problems working these things out, please do not hesitate to send me an email in the first instance. Cheers.